Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, Type 1 Outdoors exists to educate and inspire Type 1 diabetics to merge their passions for the outdoors with this disease in a safe and responsible way. This is the second video in a series about backpacking with diabetes, and today we're going to talk about the necessities. In the last video, we asked the important question, can you do it? And I would suggest that you watch that. The order of these videos is purposeful, and I think it's a really critical video to watch and a really critical question to ask yourself. In that video, I also share some of the lessons and experiences that I went through and learned from that have informed why I think these are the necessities that you need before you go out on a multi-day backpacking adventure. So let's take a look at what I've got. Cool thing is, all of it fits in a tiny stuff sack, so it's not going to take up a bunch of weight or a bunch of room. Now, the first piece of gear may seem really obvious, but it is your meter. And I said it may seem obvious, but I actually went on a 4-day backpacking trip in Colorado, and I didn't take my meter, so I never knew what my blood sugar was the entire time. It was a really dumb decision, and you may ask, how did I even come to the conclusion to not take my meter? And I would say, watch the first video. I go through why I decided that, and it really all comes down to how you are treating your disease. How do you view your disease? Are you taking responsibility of it? And so on. So if you haven't seen that video, I'd definitely go watch it. But anyways, first piece of gear that is a necessity is your meter. The second piece of gear that I think is absolutely necessary is a cold pack. And this is used to keep your insulin the right temperature no matter where you are. So if you're up in the mountains, that may not be an issue if it's really cold, but you probably still want one of these because it can get warm during the day. And if you're in somewhere that's really warm, this is really important. The company that I use is called Frio, and I haven't found a better product, and the options are really slim. So this, you soak in water and it expands and cools. I'm not really sure how. And if you open it, you can fit 2 or 3, maybe more, insulin pins, and you can fit quite a few insulin vials if you're using a pump. But this is extremely important. I take it on every trip. The next piece of gear that I think is absolutely a requirement is a continuous glucose monitoring system, or a CGM. This is a Dexcom. I don't actually use this one anymore because I have a pump that has one that works with it. But I really think you need one of these if you're going out on the trail for multiple days, especially if you're experiencing a lot of elevation gain. You're gonna be exerting energy like you never have before. You're gonna be eating foods that you've never really eaten as much of. And it's going to be so difficult if you just have a meter to be checking your blood sugar on a routine basis when you're out there. This is going to measure your blood sugar every 5 minutes or so, and it's going to tell you which direction it's going. So that's why I think it's a critical part of the necessities that you need before you go on a backpacking adventure. While I don't think this next piece of gear is totally necessary, I would strongly recommend it. It's honestly changed my life and my adventures, and it's given me so much peace of mind, not just to me, but also to my family members who care about me. And that is a pump, an insulin pump. I use the Medtronic 670G. It's really awesome because it has a closed loop system, which means it comes with a sensor that reads your blood sugar like a CGM, and it reads that to the pump, and the pump adjusts based on that. I found this really helpful, and honestly, I feel like I can do any trail and go on for days on end without having to worry too much about my diabetes, my blood sugar, and I just feel really confident in how I can manage my diabetes on the trail. So while it's not necessarily a requirement and you can do these adventures with just insulin pens, I would definitely recommend looking into getting an insulin pump. The last thing I would say is a requirement, at least for me, is 2 little insulin needles. These are super old, and I got them from a friend who was kind of mentoring me when I first got diabetes. But I take them with me every time I go out on a multi-day adventure, because I don't know what's going to happen to my pump. If I'm using pins, I don't know if all the needles, what if they get wet or ruined or bent? You never know. And so I take 2 of these, I put them inside of my meter bag because they fit in there. And they're really just for safety reasons and as a backup plan in case one of my pieces of gear fails and I can't get the insulin that I need. That's pretty much it. If you have any necessities in your experience, please comment below and add them to the list. I'd love to hear. That's what I have as my necessities, and so far it's been really successful. Hope you'll have a good one, and I'll see you in the next one.